Alright, what's going on everybody, it's Tim here and welcome to today's video on the channel. And in today's video I have a commentary and we're going to be talking about Wizard101's school identity crisis. Now, I have made a video talking about this briefly in the past. If you'd like to check that out, I'll probably have that up on screen or in the top pinned comment. But this video is going to be a bit different from that one. This one was actually from somebody in my chat who had this idea, and basically we're going to be talking about the same thing, but we're going to divide things into PvE and PvP and really try to get to the core issue of this problem. School identity, I feel like players have been pissed off about it for years now, and understandably so. You know, when you're 160 levels into the game and your entire school just completely changes, I think understandably so. Players have every right to be tilted. A good example I can use for this is a school like Storm, where from the jump you were promised that it's like glass cannon, it hits hard, and then now at max level it no longer like hits that hard, and you have to heal now, not actually play to your glass cannon advantage, right? So that's just one example I could use, guys. I don't want this video to come across as pessimistic or anything. I just really want to voice the community's concerns, some of my concerns, and hopefully a developer can see this and we can really, you know, crack down on what the player base might be saying. Now, just for some context, I have every school max level, as you guys can see here on the home screen. Ice, Storm, Fire, Myth, Death, you know, Life and Balance. I've played every school, maxed them out. Gotten Captain, Warlord, and Marshal on a couple of these schools as well in PvP, so I have a lot of experience with each school separately. So the first thing I want to talk about in this video, guys, is going to be the PvE experience. Now, this was actually specifically from my chat over on Twitch. If you guys want to stop by 7 p.m. Central Time every day over on Twitch at Liam Isoab. Well, basically, I had somebody come in my chat while we're doing raids, and they're like, why is like the game so stale? Why does every school just hit? And I started asking them questions, you know, trying to like figure out what they're saying. And what it really boiled down to is the fact of the matter that there's no differences between the schools anymore, ever since the Novus update is what that player was saying. Everybody now has so much damage and stuff like that. It doesn't really matter whether you're a damage school or not. And I think this is a very big problem on KingsIsle's end. You know, you have like damage schools, like the traditional legacy damage schools, which are Storm, Fire, and Myth. But nowadays it's supposed to be Death and Storm, right? You have these supposed hitter schools that are supposed to do more damage or DPP or something like that. But then with KingsIsle's game design, their game design completely contradicts that, because they say DPP, but then everybody is shaving off 25%. For example, if I send a shad and you send a shad, it's 25% and 25%. That's not really relevant to PvE, my bad, bit of a side tangent, but that's kind of what we mean when, you know, there's not really a difference between the schools anymore. When everybody can do the same amount of damage, it doesn't really matter, or nobody really cares, because at that point, you play the schools that are easier to play with better matchups and more health and better cards to obviously have a higher chance of winning, because you can make more mistakes and because you have more utility on your cards, right? But a huge issue for the PvE experience here is the fact of the matter that, you know, you're questing through Novus and everybody just hit, you know? And again, that's fine if it's like a, you know, a Storm or a Fire or whatever, right? I completely understand that. But I think this player was saying like how like Life and Ice and they all just hit now, you know? Nobody does anything different anymore, and nobody is incentivized to, well, play their role in a team. For example, when is the last time you've seen a Life Wizard like heal in PvE? You know? Like when you're farming or something like that. Unless you're doing a really hard boss, like, I don't know, Darkmoor at level 100, or like the Devourer at max level. You don't see that at all, right? Or when's the last time you see an Ice cast a Legion Shield? You don't really see that at all. You just buff or hit, right? So I do agree with what my with what the homie was saying over there on the stream chat, that it's kind of sucks to see that it just doesn't feel like there's any identity anymore when you give every school like 200 damage. I think people were saying life and ice can get 200 damage, which is mental. But anyways, that's a thing. And I don't know, I just generally have to agree with what the person in my chat was saying on this one. I think if you just give players too much of everything, they're just gonna eventually fall into the like hit thing. Like again, look at PvP. You gave players too much of everything, especially defensive schools, and now all those schools do is hit as if they were a damage school, right guys? And you would think if the damage schools were hitting because they're supposed to have DPP, they'd be actually winning more by hitting more, but that's not the case right now in the current game. So I guess what I'm really saying here is I think there needs to be more discrepancies between defensive schools and damage schools. Defensive schools should have a way to hit, but they should be giving up a ton of stats, not getting complemented by their stats like they do in PvP. And also in PvE, if they want to hit, that is fine, but it shouldn't be like anywhere near as good as like a Storm or Fire. It shouldn't even be close to competing with that, I feel like. Because there's so many different schools in this game, and there's so much different ways to like embrace your identity, and it's just kind of sad to see that everybody throws that out for the favor of hit, basically. And a couple more examples I could give, which is specific examples. There's only a couple cards like this left in the game right now. There's cards that are legacy cards that have not been changed. So I'm looking at cards like Enfeeble. You know, if you guys follow my Archambault videos at all or want to be a bit more educated on how the game actually functions in 2023, be sure to check out my Archambault videos here on the channel. But Storm is not a blade removal school anymore, but they have cards like Disarm and especially the Enfeeble right here that destroys blade stack, basically. Another example I can bring up is Ice. Ice is supposed to be good with shields and weak to overtimes and stuff like that, but then why does Ice have a steal a heal? Ice has nothing to do with healing. It's on the opposite side of their Archambault wheel, but it can counter healing for 2 pips, which is really good, right? There's all these legacy cards like Snowdrift and Feeble. Even Shift on Myth is like you're supposed to counter weaknesses and shields on a myth, but you counter overtimes when you're supposed to be weak against overtimes according to the Shambo wheel, right? Now I'm not saying like, oh, like Shambo's the best thing ever here, guys. The point I'm trying to make here is King's Law has put these facts into the game with the Shambo wheel, and some of these things just are not being enforced, which is why you see some schools being better than others in like the current meta, because those schools just simply do not follow the rules that King's Law themselves have made and put into the game, guys. But I think that's really everything I want to talk about in this video. I talked about the specific cards. I talked about PvE and PvP in this video. If I missed anything, let me know down there in the comments below. I look forward to reading them as well. And yeah, I just really hope that we can, you know, get over this obstacle, and hopefully King's Law can you know, start to create a bit more differences between the schools and stuff like that. But yeah, I will see you guys on the next one. If you made it this far, leave a like and sub, and as always, take care, y'all.